There are 6 fatal mistakes most people make when airing out their homes in winter. The result is mold, and it can even have a negative impact on your health. I'll show you what those mistakes are and why you should never make them again in this video. Regular ventilation is extremely important to get the moist air out of the house. Because whether you're showering, cooking, hanging laundry, or just breathing, our daily activities cause moisture to enter our home, which naturally has to go back outside. Otherwise, it will settle on the walls and lead to the growth of mold. For example, a basket of freshly washed laundry, even after being spun, contains up to 3 liters of water that get distributed in your rooms while drying. That's why the first and still the biggest mistake is simply leaving your window tilted open to air things out. The problem is that no proper air exchange actually takes place. In return, you're actually causing the masonry around the tilted window to cool down faster, allowing moist air to settle there and mold to form even more quickly. But it's also particularly important how exactly you ventilate and for how long. I'll go into that in a bit more detail now. Because in the best case scenario, you should of course open the window completely. Ideally, you should do this with all your windows to create a cross breeze. That means a window on the opposite side of your apartment is also open so the air can escape outside. If that doesn't work for you, you can also close the individual room doors to then air out the room completely. Particularly after showering, you should of course ventilate the room immediately. And ideally close the bathroom door so the moist air can't spread further through the rest of the apartment. But how often should you actually air out in general? If you leave your house in the morning and don't return until evening, you should definitely air out completely after getting up and again when you return. If you're home all day, you should even do this 3 to 4 times a day. And not just for a brief moment, but ideally for 5 to 15 minutes, contingent upon the outside temperature. The colder it is outside, the shorter the time can be that you have your windows completely open. You should completely switch off the heating while the windows are wide open, to prevent the waste of unnecessary energy. Often your window panes will fog up when you open the window all the way. A good indicator of how long you should air out is to wait until the window pane is no longer fogged up. At that point, at the latest, you can close the window again. In addition, you should generally make sure that it's not too cold in your apartment. You should have at least 18 degrees throughout your entire apartment. If you only have 16 degrees or even less, you increase the risk of mold enormously. This is because cold air cannot absorb as much moisture, which then settles more quickly on walls or your furniture. What also helps enormously to recognize when you need to air out is using a hygrometer like this, which shows you the humidity. At 60% at the latest, you should air out well to get some of the moisture out of your rooms. By the way, from 70% there is already an increased risk of mold, and you should definitely take action. Just like if you regularly see your windows sweating, meaning there's water on the inside of the windows, then it's really high time to air out the place well and get the humidity out of the rooms. Also helpful, but at the same time quite shocking, is a dehumidifier like this one. I bought this one because I had a pretty high level of humidity in my basement. And if you let it run for a few times, you will see such an absolutely incredible amount of water collect inside the storage tank that you won't believe that much moisture was actually just floating there in the air. If you also have extremely high humidity in your apartment, you should consider getting one of these. You can find the link to the one I'm using here down in the video description. And if you are interested in learning what you must be particularly mindful of when hanging laundry indoors in winter to avoid mold, then take a look at the video you see on the screen now. Click right on it.